Sonic Adventure 2 is widely considered to be the best 3D Sonic game, but as the original was released on the ill-fated Dreamcast, I could only get my hands on the Gamecube version, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. The story is a serious one, rather than the more recent light-hearted approach, which is pulled off surprisingly well. Dr. Eggman finds Shadow, the ultimate life form, and uses him to get the Chaos Emeralds. People mistake Shadow for Sonic, so GUN capture him. Sonic escapes, and the game starts from there. One great thing about the story is that it is told from two different perspectives, the heroes and the villains. This was much better than their previous attempt in the original Sonic Adventure, where they told it from about 10 different perspectives. The gameplay is quite varied. There are 3 characters you play as in the hero story, and 3 in the villains. They alternate, so it's not like you have to play through the game with each character. The speed levels, which you play as either Sonic or Shadow, are very fun. Running around loop-de-loops, doing homing attacks on enemies, it's all done very well, and it is very fun to try and speed through the levels, though without a boost mechanic it can feel a bit slower than the more recent Sonic games. Sometimes the homing attack just wouldn't work, and I'd end up plummeting to my death. Although, to be fair, this only happened twice in my entire run through the game. These levels are what you bought the game for, and to this day, the first Sonic level, City Escape, remains one of my favourite Sonic levels ever. You are going to die the first time through most of these speed levels, and when you finish the level for the first time, you are going to get a horrible wreck. The point of these levels is to do them over and over again in order to get a good rank, which isn't necessary, but if you don't like repeating levels, you're not going to get the same value out of this game as someone who does. The next level type is like a shooter. You play as either Tails or Eggman in mechs. They simply walk through levels and shoot things. When you hold B, a laser will appear wherever they're faced, and you use the laser to lock onto enemies, and let go of B to shoot the enemies you're locked onto. The more enemies you shoot at once, the more points you will get. These levels were a fun addition, but I found the camera to be a bit of a hindrance sometimes, and the fact that you have to move the mech to get the targeting laser to point in a different direction caused me to fall off many a moving platform. Overall, these sections are quite good and help to break up the action. The next level type are treasure hunting ones, and lord, they're boring. You can play as either Knuckles or Rouge, and you are in a closed off area and have to search for 3 pieces of the Master Emerald per level. There is a radar that acts like a metal detector, indicating how close you are to the next emerald piece you must find. There are computers all over the place that give you hints where the next one is. You get 3 hints per emerald, and you can only use each computer once. The first hint is almost useless, the second hint tells you where it is in a kind of riddle, and the final hint just tells you exactly where it is. It's impossible to get a good time without the hints, and even with them, you could spend ages looking for it anyway, as the areas are quite large. Many reviewers have called the Werehog sections of Sonic Unleashed slow, and I simply say to them, try the treasure hunting in Sonic Adventure 2. They frustrate me to no end, and these sections were the only time I would turn off my console throughout my time with the game, which both shows how fun the rest of the game is, and how terrible these parts are. Throughout the game, each character will receive power-ups that give them abilities needed for the later levels. These add a new layer to the experience, and make sure the player is rewarded with something new. You can go back to earlier levels and use these abilities to find hidden items or simply finish the level faster. The bosses in the game are quite a lot of fun. They require a lot more skill than simply hammering the attack button. With most of them you have to watch their attack pattern and attack when they become vulnerable, which to me is a perfect boss battle. The graphics look quite good for a Dreamcast game, and I feel they could have improved the graphics a lot more than they did. You've been watching gameplay throughout this review, and you can see what I mean when I say they did a very lazy job of improving this for the port. It's just not up to Gamecube standards, but for what it's worth, I think it would have done the Dreamcast justice. Next is the music. And I feel that this issue will always cause a lot of bickering, with some people saying it rocks and others saying it doesn't fit in a Sonic game. I fall into the former category. Some of the tracks in the game are some of my favourite songs, period. But music is mostly subjective, so you'll have to decide yourself whether or not you like it.
Attention all units. Suspect seen heading south. Block all major roads and capture the suspect.
When you're playing through a level, you might find a Chow key. If you finish the level, you'd be transported to the Chow Garden. This is basically like any pet simulator, Nintendogs, Tamagotchi and so on. I don't care for pet simulators much, but I do know a good one when I see it, and I can see a lot of people spending hours looking after their Chow. This pet simulator is surprisingly deep, with your Chow starting out in their egg, and when they hatch they will change appearance and personality depending on how you raise them. The food you give them, toys you play with, putting them in water to teach them how to swim, and so on. You can send them to school and give them different lessons to change their personality as well. This was the deepest pet simulator at the time of release, and even today few games can rival the complexity of this simulator within a Sonic game. Another feature is the ability to hook up your Game Boy Advance and transfer over and back Chows from Game Boy Advance games, but as I was playing on the Wii, I couldn't test out this feature. I feel that, though I don't really like pet simulators, the Chow Garden had enough content to be able to be shipped as a standalone Dreamcast game. Altogether, I found the only real down points for the game were the treasure hunting levels, which dragged on way too long. But other than that, everything works well, and the graphics do the job, if only just. With that in mind, it is definitely worth being called the best 3D Sonic game. I give it 9 out of 10.